Good morning, folks. In this video we're going to talk about the difference between reaching your full potential and alignment and how it correlates with each other and how it doesn't. Because, you know, reaching your full potential, I spoke a little bit about it in the last video. It's about getting the most out of what you have in you, right? That is your full potential. And to truly be honest, you can never reach your full potential because let's say you run this marathon within 4 hours. All right, now run it within 3.5 hours. Now run it within 3 hours. It's a never-ending game. And even then, if you run it within 3 hours, now, all right, you did it with 2 legs. Now do it with 1 leg, right? It's a never-ending game of reaching your full potential. But there's also something called alignment, and this is something I'm very heavy on. And that's also something I explained in the last video. Alignment is when your have, the thing you choose to create in life, the doing, the thing you do to create that have, and eventually your being, how you are as a person, is aligning. And I even go a step further where you're wiring the way you are naturally built. From the moment you're born, you have a certain blueprint, a certain way you are wired. Also with the way your youth has been, you're built in a certain way. That's alignment. Now, I started thinking about those two concepts and I came up with this matrix and I'm writing it down here. So on the one side we have our full potential. Right? That means on the other side we have zero potential, whatever that may be. Right? And then on the right side we have alignment. And on the left side we have misaligned. Now, I started thinking about this. Full potential, that's definitely different than alignment, but they're definitely both important. Because if you're only focusing on alignment, you may feel very aligned, you may feel that everything is going well, but if there's no result, if you're not reaching your full potential, this is why a lot of people in the coaching market are messing up. They focus on alignment, and they completely forget about what is your full potential. What is the actual result? Because your potential is measured by the result you create. I often ask my clients, what is the number one way to measure your success? It is result, whatever result it is. But how do you measure alignment? By result? Good question. Is that how you measure alignment? I don't know. I would say alignment, it's much easier to measure by how you feel. Although we don't really care that much about how you feel, you can still do things while you're not feeling well. And here's the tricky part in the coaching world, in the game-changing world, in when I speak to clients, because this is a slippery area where a lot of people say, I don't feel right, so yeah, because it doesn't feel right, I'm not doing it. And then it's just one big excuse to not take action, not step into the discomfort, to eventually reach your full potential. So it's an interesting part. On the other hand, sometimes your body or the way you feel is a perfect reflection of your body communicating to you that you shouldn't take action, you shouldn't do this thing. There's something called intuition or following your heart. That's your body communicating to you. It's not your brain telling you, I don't want to do this. Often the brain, it's called the reptile brain. The reptile brain is telling you, I should stay comfortable. I shouldn't, go out of my comfort zone. But it's the body that can say, it's your intuition, it's your heart that says to you, all right, what I'm doing right now isn't aligning. I should change. I should make a correction. Now, I started thinking about these areas, right? And what I noticed straight away is, all right, if I'm at the top left, I am misaligned, but I reach my full potential. That will probably get you burnout. These are the people that make a lot of money. They think they are successful, or on paper or visually, when other people look outside to their life, they are successful, but internally, they're not successful. They're unsuccessful, they're unhappy. Then that's an easy one. Then on the other side of being misaligned and zero potential, you're just waste. You're wasting time, energy, life, everything. You're wasting everything. Well, if we look at the other side, the top right, the full potential and alignment. In my world, and I don't know if this is the exact right word yet, I wrote it down here. It's endurance. Well, what do I mean by endurance? Endurance means that you're able to keep delivering. Because if you're aligned, there shouldn't be too much resistance from the body, from how you are naturally wired, from who you have to be as a person, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and what you choose to create in your results. And from a full potential perspective, you're delivering so much, you're getting so much out of your full potential, out of your capacity. And the only way you get most of your full potential is by being able to do this continuously. You can reach your full potential. I've never heard somebody reaching their full potential for 1 day or 1 week, and then the other weeks, they're not hitting their full potential. You've got to be consistent. Your full potential is measured over a year, over a month, over multiple years. Right? Building businesses is built over multiple years. You cannot have 1 month or 6 months of successful full potential and then not. So you've got to have endurance, and it's the easiest to have endurance to reach your full potential if you're aligned, right? Then the bottom right was interesting because I was like, if you have alignment, but you're reaching none of your potential, this is basically the feel-good coaches. These are the feel-good people. They probably focus on how do you feel, and you know, there's a lot in that, right? The feminine side, and you should not neglect it, but there's no result. Zero potential means there's no result. And I wrote this down as in your head. Because think about it. If you're always in your head thinking, oh, I'm feeling so good right now. Oh, I'm not feeling good right now. Or, oh yeah, my being, my doing, my have, everything is aligned right now. But if you have 0, 0, 0 result, it's because you haven't taken action yet. So there's this interesting part where, there's action, and that's doing. You've got to do stuff to create something in your life. But then there's also slowing down, thinking about, all right, is this action actually aligning, or what do I need to do to get there? But even thinking about the doing, thinking what do I need to do, making the game plan to get to your commitment, to get to your have. Thinking about who do I need to be as a person to do it in the right way, to have the right things. Thinking about, is my wiring from the root of all this, is it aligned? You can have it thought out very well, but still don't have any result because you're still in your head. What happens if you're in your head? Where are you not if you're in your head? You're not in the real world. You're not taking action. You're not doing anything. So what happens when we get into our body, or we get, we shift our presence into the real world, into taking action? That is where results happen, right? But what often happens is, all right, first we're burned out on the top left. We reach our full potential, but we're misaligned. Okay? We realize we've been doing a lot of taking action, a lot of working. I've been working so much, that's why I'm burning out, right? So we realize, all right, I've been doing too much stuff. I'm not thinking enough. I need to slow down. Very, 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 very useful to slow down. A lot of people are stuck in the go-go busy mentality, so definitely slow down and think about what am I actually doing every week, every day, right? But sometimes for the people that go too far from left to right, they go all the way from this to this. They haven't been thinking, now they're only thinking. And what happens? The result goes down, right? Because they reach less of their potential, and but they create more alignment. Right? I need to, you're thinking, you're making the plan, but because you're so much in your head, right? The potential goes down because the result goes down. Now, this is very interesting because this works two ways, right? Also for the people that are always in their head, right now they're like, oh, I'm going to take action, and they may create results, but then they burn out again because they're not taking action in the right way. And now this is the circle world where people are stuck so much, so often. And then I started thinking about, all right, how do you get to endurance? How do you get to reaching your full potential and creating alignment? A lot of people often, when they are in the process of creating or reaching their full potential, right, they're here. They don't want to let go. I would more rather say they're more here, right? They create results, but they're a little bit misaligned. Alignment, let me write it down. Alignment to get endurance is a step. Is a side step. So what do I mean by that? Alignment is a side step. Meaning, you can reach your full potential. You can get the biggest deal, most amount of money, if you look at it from a relationship perspective, you can do the most adventures, go out partying, do all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But then, you're reaching your full potential business-wise. You get the biggest deals. But what happens is you're losing alignment because you're shifting to misaligned. Why? Because you get a deal that may not really align with who you are as a person. You might have a little bit of resistance on that work, on that job. You might not really feel that this is the right thing for you. You might realize you just did it for the money, whatever. So if you're too far down full potential and you get too far lost in this, you lose alignment and you shift on the left side of the matrix. But what you have to do sometimes, this is why you often hear about people declining certain clients or big deals. It's like, okay, I'm declining this big deal. I still reach my full potential, but now I'm here. I can get this deal, but I'm declining it. And what happens is, because I decline this deal, I shift with my alignment to here. And because it's a step to the side, I'm still just as far with my full potential, right? But I have much more alignment. What happens is you've got much more endurance. And what do you think will win? Endurance or burnout? Easy question. So, this is why you hear a lot of business people declining certain deals, declining partnerships. Those are the guys that win. Because they only work with the people they want to work with. They're focused on their full potential, but it's not just all about full potential. It's also about, balancing this stuff out. And that's where you have endurance. That's where the sweet spot is. So go find your sweet spot and go see where are you on this matrix, on this spectrum. Are you at full potential or at zero potential? Are you only on alignment but you don't have results? Go find out where you are. And hopefully for the entrepreneur that is making a lot of money, that is successful from the outside, but from within he knows he's not successful. He doesn't feel that something has changed. He might realize that he needs to do a step aside. Because often that is where we lack as humans. We don't want to do that step aside because it feels like giving up. It feels like giving something away. But I'm gonna tell you right now, doing a step aside, I've done it in the past multiple times. It's the best thing you can do for long term, but also for the relatively short term, because you're gonna enjoy much more what you're doing, and it's gonna align, obviously, with the be do have wiring principle. So go sit down, do this matrix for yourself, and good luck.